You don't think more police make streets safer?
No, Joe, I'm a black woman in America. I do not always think that more police make streets safer. When you walk down the streets of Georgetown, you don't see a police officer on every corner, but you don't feel unsafe. So what is it about talking about places like Southeast DC, right? Ward 8, if you will, that people say, well, we need more officers to make us safe. I think we have to rethink what safety means in America.
Well, there have been black city council members in New York City, when people were talking about defunding the police, saying the people we represent are the people who need police officers the most, as safety officers in schools need police officers the most, so our children can walk from their homes to school without being stopped, 5-10 times by drug dealers or people that are going to assault them. I don't think this is an issue of black versus white. When you're talking about safety, there are a lot of black Americans who don't feel safe in their homes, in their neighborhoods. And when they hear people talking about defunding the police, it freaks them out. I'm not saying that's what you're saying.
Defund the police is not good. I never support a defund. I think you're making a good point, Joe. I want to be able to call the police in my neighborhood. When they come, I don't want them to think that I'm a suspect. But what we're talking about is that the President of the United States is saying that there is a crime emergency in Washington, D.C. An emergency could be anything that he says it is. So from his definition, maybe there is. The data would say otherwise. But the issue that people keep citing is about the young people, the carjackings, right? The kids running into a CVS and taking things out the CVS. That is juvenile crime. And so how are the police officers or the National Guard going to address the issue of juvenile crime? And until we start talking about the policy, let's talk about the crime bill that DC passed last year that could be strengthened, right? Let's talk about that. But Donald Trump is using rhetoric and playing on the real fears that some people have because of what they've seen on the news or maybe what they themselves have experienced. And
it's not what they've seen on the news.
Wow. I'm a black woman in America, too, and I disagree with you. What's up, folks? This is Pop and Politics. Okay, you don't have to adjust your TV. I know this is Tuesday night, but we are here with our Pop In. I'm KJ along with Nicole.
Hey, guys.
Yana.
Hello.
And Shelly E. All right, folks, this is just a quick hit to keep you in the know with what's hot in the news right now. And we couldn't wait until tomorrow. We had to come on here tonight to respond to the lies and misinformation that the Democrats and the left have been putting out in the media since President Trump announced the federalization of the DC Police Department. We had to get on. We could not wait. I'm steaming. I don't know about you ladies, but we're going to get into it all. Before we do, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. As you all come in, hit that like button. It helps to get this video out in front of a wider audience, and we appreciate the support. Folks, we have a goal to hit 200,000 subscribers by Labor Day. We are so close, and Labor Day will be here before we know it. So your help is greatly appreciated. And as you come in, if you hit the like button, that helps to get this video out to a wider audience, and hopefully we'll find like-minded people like you to subscribe. All right, so let's set it off, ladies. I want to get right into this. So that was Morning Joe this morning. And when even Joe Scarborough starts talking tough on crime, you know something's shifting. But when his own MSNBC colleague tries to shut him down for defending Trump's plan to take over DC's failing police force, you saw it, sparks started to fly. So I want to get you in on this, Shelly. You heard her say, what does her being a black woman in America have to do with this?
Not a damn thing. It's part of the rhetoric. And let me say this. Although Joe asked her these questions, he was kind of tepid. And, I think someone mentioned he was stuttering because he was afraid, because she was probably he didn't know how she was going to attack him or not, because she's a Black woman. Let me say this, Symone, okay? I'm a Black woman. Nicole, Yana, I think you are too. Honorary Black woman. But, okay, and KJ. But we're Black people. We live in America's cities. And guess what? Most of the people who are victims in these cities are also Black people, or maybe other so-called minorities, Hispanics, whatever the case may be. Symone, you live in a gated community. You probably have MSNBC security when you're coming to and fro. And Georgetown is not Baltimore City. Georgetown is not Southeast. Of course, the police, you don't see the police standing on the corners because you don't have the juveniles and the criminals rampaging through the streets of Georgetown. Symone, be real. At least be honest. I just say you don't like police. You don't want them. And you want to pretend that you live in this bubble of safety. And no, you do, but most of America does not, particularly on the streets of LA, Chicago, Baltimore, DC, and other places. Symone, get a grip. And Joe, stop being afraid because she's a Black woman.
Yeah. Nicole, I thought the points that she was trying to make didn't even make sense. Again, as Shelley mentioned, she compared Georgetown to Ward 8 in DC. I mean, we know the difference here, correct?
Absolutely. But listen, make no mistake, there is crime in Georgetown.
Absolutely.
Retail theft is through the roof. Car theft is through the roof. Her husband, her new husband, was the nightmare of DC. So that meant that he was in charge of all of the nightlife, up and down the K Street, U Street, all of that, bars, parties. I bet you he knows what the crime looked like in DC. Guarantee you that he knows. She does live in a very isolated bubble, and kudos to her, but the people who live around her don't have that luxury. So let's talk about when she says juvenile crime and what that really means. Juvenile crime is crime, age notwithstanding. When they kill someone, that person is still dead. There is no second life. There's no do-over because they're under 25. That doesn't happen. So we have to get really serious. She's right on this point about what it means to be safe in America. Does safety only mean safe from criminal adults, or does safety mean safe from every criminal, regardless of age? That's the question. Joe was right. Joe was giving it to her left and right. But when she pulled, "But I'm a Black woman" card, she pulled it out like it was still 2020, honey. It's 2025. That doesn't work anymore. Ask Lizzo. She would know.
Right. Yeah, Yana, why do we see these white broadcasters and mainstream media seem to shy away from really giving it to these Black commentators? I mean, while it did seem like he didn't go as hard on her as he does with white people that he disagrees with. Do you see a difference there as well?
Yeah, I see it, and I think they're scared. I think there is a hegemony. There's this fear of still being canceled, being called racist if you argue with a Black woman about police, about safety, and they're afraid. They're just afraid for their careers. Yeah. And she just sounded, I just wanted to comment, she sounded stupid when she said, well, why aren't there police in Georgetown, and why there are more police in Southeast? Why? Like, you really got to ask a question. And also, then she said about the juveniles and how they just go to CVS and take stuff. That's a very Marxist statement. And she is an agent of these Marxists. I don't think she even realizes it. I mean, she's not very smart. But
now, why do you think, can you explain why that is a Marxist statement?
Because this idea, so what she's perpetuating there through that statement is that these people who are, formerly marginalized, historically marginalized communities, the idea is that this is basically reparations. that now they technically have a right to go into a store and take whatever they want. That is the idea that they've been pushing into the community, that these juveniles, that they're not just criminals. No, they are disenfranchised. They are victims of the system, and that is why they're just going in and taking what is theirs. That has been said many times by the Democrats, and it came out of her mouth because she in her heart, she actually doesn't blame them. She doesn't think it's a crime.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And folks, we are here tonight. This is not a regular live stream for us. We are generally on Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays, but we had to come on tonight because the Democrats have gone wild. They are panicking. They are shaking in their boots because President Trump has really been yielding his hammer. He has been putting the hammer down. He's federalizing DC. Letitia James and Adam Schiff are shaking in their boots because he's coming after them. And so we had to get on here tonight and react to all of their nonsense behind this. And one of the people that has been on the news recently is our mayor, Mayor Brandon Scott, here in Baltimore City. He's the mayor, and he has been on as well, talking about this federalized police force that President Trump has enacted to curb crime in DC. Take a look at this next clip. This is clip 5.
But a military presence in Washington, D.C., is that the right way to fight crime here, given your experience in Baltimore?
No. And I think we all know that, right? And we all know what the president is doing is really just spitting this right-wing propaganda and using the media and the bully pulpit of the highest office of the land to push things that we know. No one in D.C., my sister mayor is not saying that they don't have issues to work on, but the reality is that D.C.'s violent crime is at a 30-year low. And quite frankly, that's the case for cities around the country. I think it's very notable that each and every one of the cities called out by the president has a black mayor. And most of those cities are seeing historic lows in violent crime. In my city, in Baltimore, we have the fewest amount of homicides through this date on record. That's 50 years, a 50-year low. Maybe we are too far gone from the broken right-wing policies of zero-tolerance policing and all the things that did not make our city safer for all those many years. But we know that having the military there is not the way to do it. The way to drive down violence in cities has been proving. Mayors across the country have brought together law enforcement, the legal community, the actual community, through community violence intervention work to reduce violence across this country and cities to lows that we have not seen in decades. The president could learn a lot from us instead of throwing things at us.
Wow. All right. Shelley, two things. Right. He said the right-wing policies in Baltimore City. That's what right-wing policies is he talking about?
Please, someone let me know, because Baltimore has been run by Democrats for as long as I've been living, certainly, and maybe even longer. Baltimore has been run by many Black Democrats, the whole damn city council virtually. So Brandon Scott is full of shit. Brandon Scott is lying. What it is, he's afraid that Trump, he may not bring the military in per se. There will be some different policies about that. But what he's afraid of is all the federal money that Maryland and Baltimore receives, that Trump can put stipulations on those, and that money would dry up quickly. So he can put stipulations on them, open the books. Let's see the real stats. Let's see where the money's going. All of these policies and programs that they come up with, again, wrap around services. No one gets wrapped around. Just 3 weeks ago, 27 people overdosed in the middle of the day on a major public street in Baltimore City. The weekend after that, I think 5 or 8 more people did the same thing. Where's the money going? Where are the people? They're not locked up. They're not and cleaned up off the streets. They were released, treated and released into to God knows where. Brandon Scott is afraid. He's shaking in his boots too. That's what it is. He is so afraid that Trump is going to come down to 95 and 95 in his entourage and start cleaning up the streets of Baltimore City. Come, President Trump, come.
Yeah, Nicole, we've heard all day today that because President Trump is looking into several cities, well, right now DC, but he has mentioned Chicago. He did mention Baltimore. Because he's doing this, looking at the violent crime rates, this is racist. What's your reaction to that?
Crime knows no race. Victimhood knows no race. Dead is dead. White, Black, Chinese, Asian, Hispanic, it makes no difference. What they're doing is virtue signaling. They're saying, Black people, look, President Trump is going to do something in our communities that we've tried to do for 50 years and couldn't do, but he's bringing the military with him, and we don't think that's fair. My point to them, especially Brandon Scott, using his numbers, which we all know are skewed, find those 68 families and tell them how great Baltimore is. Tell them over the caskets and the graves of their loved ones how wonderful of a job you're doing. They make it sound like we are supposed to accept hundreds and hundreds of murders because it's a city every single year. Well, that's not the plan. And Trump is saying no to that, whether you're Black, white, or indifferent. The fact that there are Black leaders of these cities may be coincidental. It may be because blue cities are run incredibly poorly. That's likely the scenario. But what I want him to hear me say is what he's saying, the programs and all of this other foolishness that they think are working so great. Oh, he can keep that. But Trump is bringing some teeth with him. So you can have the carrot and the stick. It's not mutually exclusive. If you want to have a certain subset of juvenile crime, petty larceny under $50, and you want to love them up and teach them yoga and let them do arts and crafts, so be it. But when you have roving gangs of children killing people in the streets, they're going to be on the stick side of that carrot and stick. And that's what Trump is saying. We've had enough. Shelley's right. They get this right in DC, it's coming to every blue city in this country, and they are shaking in their boots.
Yeah. Yana, you heard he and a lot of the left and these Democrats have all been talking about local control. Well, does that matter more than results when it comes to public safety?
No. And for regular people, the results matter more than anything else. Who cares who is controlling the streets? If local control can do it, that's great. But if we're still having robberies, we're still having drug deals, I have seen them just driving on the streets of Baltimore. We still, have carjackings. It is all still happening. We still have homeless and trash on the street. So come on, Brandon Scott, the city is still not in the good shape. So if he wants to throw in statistics, okay, great. But his city is still trash at this point, even though the city is beautiful, it has a lot of potential. But why not just say, look, we welcome any help that we can get.
Yeah. Folks, please, as you guys come in, hit that like button. It helps to get this video out into a wider audience, and subscribe. We have a goal to hit 200,000 subscribers by Labor Day. We cannot do it without your help. Hit that like button and subscribe, and definitely share this broadcast, because we're about to really go through the numbers of they keep talking about this data. Well, let's talk about the data, because it does not support their narrative. Before I do, I want to acknowledge our super chatters. Kung Fu CJ with the $2 super chat says Trump can't do anything about states or crime. All right. Kung Fu CJ says governors must ask for help before the feds can come in, with the $5 super chat. Well, yes, he does. I mean, I think if there is declared a state of emergency, he can do something in these other cities. However, but DC is different, because of course DC is a territory, and he does have a little bit more control than he does these other cities. But let's talk about the crime rate in Baltimore, for instance, because as you all know, We are here in Maryland, many of us from Baltimore City. So again, Baltimore City's crime rate has been abysmal. From 2010 to 2014, killings stayed really high, about 32 to 37 per 100,000 people, way above the national average. Poverty, drugs, and gangs kept violence stubbornly high. There was a short dip in 2011 which matched national trends, but the numbers crept back up. So 2015 to 2019, we had the Freddie Gray riots. So in 2015, after Freddie Gray's death and the riots, murders jumped 63% in 1 year and never came back down. Police pulled back, gangs filled the gap, and clearance rates dropped. So by 2019, the city had 348 killings. It was one of the deadliest years ever. And we talked about this on Poppin' Politics over and over again. Again, 2020 to 2022, it was still deadly. So while murders went up in many U.S. cities during COVID, Baltimore's rate stayed flat but high, around 57 to 58 per 100,000. So what is he talking about? What is he talking about? Because we had just a couple of years, three years or so right now, we see a drop. Everybody's supposed to shout for joy. I mean, this is nothing to shout about. When you look at the overall picture, it has been abysmal. And so let's talk about the small drop we've seen, or the sharp drop we've seen in the last couple of years. They still have not addressed how they had social justice prosecutors in many of these cities where crime spiked over the last several years. Some of them have left, particularly in Baltimore City. We have a new prosecutor who has been tougher on crime. And now we've finally seen some improvement in the murders, in the killings. And they are on pace for the lowest number in the last 50 years. And the credit goes to tougher prosecution from State's Attorney Ivan Bates, which he has not been part of this social justice line as the mayor is currently, what we just saw, and the former prosecutor was, who had a low clearance rate and who believed in letting crime and juvenile crime run amok. So what are they talking about when they say this stuff? They're trying to push a line of lies, and they're counting on you all to believe it. So this is what we say. Please share this broadcast, because we're talking about the truth. So and same thing goes for DC. I mean, they keep complaining about how there's no need to federalize the police force in DC, and they have seen a similar kind of murder spike in DC as well. So I mean, this needs to be addressed. But what I want to ask you guys is, to me, it's kind of shameful that it took President Trump, coming in and sounding the alarm on this, because of one of the things that came to his attention was the brutal beating of what they call big balls, the young gentleman who worked for Doge, to get brutally beaten by 10 juveniles in DC. Yes, there he was. We talked about this last night. But why haven't the Black politicians and leaders in DC and Baltimore sounded an alarm like this, Shelley? When all the people that have been hurt are Black folks.
Yeah, because they don't give a damn about the people, their constituents. They don't give a damn. One thing I do want to say, that I know you mentioned about Baltimore in particular, the numbers. One thing I do want to say, I do support and I shout when there are reduced numbers, reduced murders and homicides and shootings. I don't care how many the reduction is or what number it is. I do care, and I do shout about that. So I am happy about that. One is too many, but we have, at least this time, compared to last year, we have, at least what the police department is reporting, we have 68 compared to, I think, 88 last year, same time. I love that. So if it's going in the right direction, I'm going to support that. I don't care what the party is of whoever's in charge. Now, having said that, I still think Brandon Scott is full of shit. That's not going to change. So, however, most of these black, maybe all, but I'll say most of these black politicians who are in political positions, mayors, governor, whatever the case may be, they really don't give a damn about their constituents. What they care about is remaining in power, however they can. That's what they want. And they don't say that, of course, but they will pimp and exploit their constituents to the nth degree to remain in power. That's all it comes down to. I think it was Jason Riley. He wrote the book called False Black Power. And he talked about how many times black people mistakenly, in particular, they believe that when they put someone in office because they look like us, or they, I know them from back in the day, around the way, all that stuff, they put them in office, but only people who benefit are the people in office, the politicians. They're the ones who get richer and go on to more and more powerful positions, while the communities that they claim they want to renovate and rejuvenate are still dying on a death spiral.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And of course, talking about power, the way that the Democrats and the left do it is to fearmonger. And so now the narrative is January 6th again. January 6th, January 6th. So all day today on mainstream media, every time a leftist opens their split tongue mouth, it's January 6th. And this is no different. Take a look at this next clip of MSNBC. And of course, they are shouting, no need to federalize. If you're going to federalize DC, the only reason you need to do it is because of January 6th. This is clip 2.
I think it's really important to be clear about what is going on here. And a relatively small crime problem is being used for specific authoritarian purposes that we know and understand. So let's be clear about DC does have one really big crime problem, which was the January 6th insurrection incited by the current president of the United States. And his first act in coming back was pardoning all the people who tried to overturn constitutional republic order in Washington, D.C. When I go to D.C., I'm not afraid of losing my wallet so much as I'm afraid of losing my vote. I'm not afraid of losing my wallet so much as I'm afraid that my children's freedom to breathe will be stolen in a world where climate change policy is non-existent. I'm afraid that the future of middle-class people will be stolen by the very things you were talking about, cutting the safety net, cutting Medicaid, cutting rural hospitals.
Right.
So there is carjacking.
And of course,
let me just finish. There is a carjacking going on.
But you got to worry about two things. You got to worry about two things at the same time.
Let me just finish my point.
What? Nicole. So again, they're talking about, he's comparing crime on January 6th to the actual crime we've seen over these many, many years in DC. Is that an accurate comparison?
Well, first of all, you heard the keywords. When he goes to DC. When he goes to DC, he is in a black Suburban or black Escalade. He's escorted from door to door, and he is safe and secure in all the places he goes, right? A lot of us have that luxury. Once you attain a certain level of muckety-muckness in the swamp, you do too get the black car treatment, and you jump out of the car and you run into the venue, and you're free in the venue. Every now and again, you may see an elected or two walking more than 3 or 4 blocks in the district, but it's usually the areas that are under Capitol Police control. And you see the Capitol Police on their bikes and in the cars, and they're kind of all over the place. That's not the DC we're talking about. We're talking about the shoot, stab, and rape and maiming DC, right? Make a left turn one time, homie, when you're out and about. Go out and see how people really live. And you talk about the middle class having losing ground. Where? I'm squarely middle class. I haven't lost 1 inch. If anything, my life looks so much better. My economic trajectory is much, much better now under Trump. But what he hasn't said, and he was not very honest about, is the crime itself. That's the issue. The issue is not January 6th and how you felt about, some guy in Viking horns in a fuzzy Target jacket, walking through the halls of Congress. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about 187 people at a minimum slain in cold blood in the street. That's the conversation. So what they're doing is deflecting. Listen, if race is not going to work, if they're not going to make you feel guilty, white people, for black people having black on black crime, then they're going to go to January 6th because they know that's a trigger for you. They're going to say, oh, constitutional republic and Donald Trump's trying to overthrow the government. What's going to happen next is Nazi. Followed Nazi is going to be dictator. Then after that, it's going to be authoritarian regime. It's the same playbook. They use it for every single problem. It's not working anymore. It really isn't. Democrats have lost their way, and their rhetoric and talking points on this crime issue proves that. Again, if Trump gets this right in DC, Kung Fu CJ, you're right. He can't force the military into any other place. But if I live in a state with a serious crime problem in a particular city like Baltimore City, and Trump gets it right in DC, they're going to have to explain to me why we can't have that same thing where I live. I want to be safe like the people in DC too. That becomes a hot button issue. Trump knows what he's doing. This is not a one-prong approach. We need to get those 5, maybe 6 seats in the House come the midterms so that Congress can do its job and put riders on some of this federal funding that says, hey, people keep getting killed in your city. We're going to be real slow to give you a highway project. We're going to be really slow sending money to you. This is not a one-trick pony. If you don't know anything about Trump, you should know that he's got a plan A through Z for every single issue. It's in the art of the deal. Maybe them should pick up a copy and read it.
Wow, that's a good one. That is a great idea, Nicole. It's called accountability. But again, Yana, I mean, these Democrats are desperately changing the subject. I mean, he went so off the reservation talking about children can't breathe and the middle class will be future stolen, talking about climate change. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, first of all, I'm looking at him and I'm like, why am I listening to a guy who looks like he is on the Hunger Games? Why does he look so ridiculous? And yeah, he's just spewing talking points. Somebody, his puppet master, has sent him a message, an email. You got to say January 6th and maybe throw in climate change in there. It's the same talking points over and over. And the thing is that these people, well, a couple of things I want to say about them. First of all, they do not care about real lives in DC. They're, throwing these statistics around, but they're not talking about that at the same day, or it was like the same week or even the same day when an intern was killed next to the White House. There was also a 3-year-old girl in Southeast, a Black girl in Southeast that was shot to death in DC. And that happens so often there that young children just sitting in their strollers or being at home, they get shot. There was a girl at some point that got shot through a window in DC. And they don't care about these kids and these people, because for them it's a Marxist experiment. And the people that are dying, they're just collateral damage in their experiment to change society and see if they can create this utopia in the future. And also, these are the same people that back during COVID days were absolutely happy and supporting all sorts of restrictions and mandates on law-abiding people. They wanted us to not go to work because we're not wearing a mask. We're not going to school. They were supporting mandates. They were supporting curfews, all sorts of things. And for people to just be, they were okay with curbing citizens' freedoms. And now all we're asking is for people to follow the law, and they're not okay with that.
Right. I mean, Shelley, we talked about this yesterday. I think Nicole mentioned how DC was always called Chocolate City. It is a predominantly Black area. And yet we have these leftists, talking, putting forth this political theater. Do you think we're going to be able to get through to this majority Black city, these Black community that these are embellishments at best, lies, probably? Are we going to be able to get through to them that this is something, President Trump's not trying to, racialize or harm Black people. He's actually trying to save them.
Yeah. Number one, I don't think we're going to get through. And number two, I don't think we need to keep trying to get through. Not with that message. Not with that message. I think it's a waste of time. I think what matters is to save people's lives and to the best of our ability. That's what matters, to keep the hardened criminals, the violent criminals, keep them off the street, locked away, buried 6 feet under. I don't care, whatever. But we need to keep people alive and safe and allow them to partake of their communities, their homes, their jobs, their livelihoods, as they should be able to do. That's what matters.
And I think, was it Nicole or Yana who said I disagree?
I disagree because I follow multiple accounts in DC, and they're posting these news about what Trump is doing. And you see people commenting, there are a lot of comments that are anti-Trump and what he's doing. But then more and more you see regular residents saying, no, like, we need this. I cannot walk on the street without being worried. And so there are many, many people now that are regular people that are coming out and being appreciative of what is being done.
That's fine. Let the regular people come out and deal with the people in their community and tell them, no, we need this. Fine. I'm saying as a policy, as a matter of the executive branch or at the the big level, that we don't need to spend time on constantly trying to change these people's minds. Sure. Just get the job done, because while we're trying to change their minds, people are still going to be dying needlessly and heinously so. Get the job done. President Trump is not necessarily focused on changing their minds. Now, he may have people in his administration to do that, shape the narrative, whatever you want to call it. I don't think we need to spend much time on it, because these people are not going to change. This is like a religion to them. Not only that, they live and breathe and feed off of the handouts and all of this pablum that fuels literally their whatever brain cells they have. They're not worth the time. Again, like I said last week regarding that I don't know what you want to call him, that child. Some prayers I'm not wasting my breath on. Okay, I'm not. Let's keep it moving. Get the job done. There's work to do. Baltimore, like other cities, is still one of the highest. I think the top 3 or 4, maybe the top 10 when you look at some real estate data. Still, per capita, one of the highest or deadliest cities in America. We have too many cities that are ranked for number 1 through 10. We need the job done. And if the policies that President Trump has at his control, if he can do it by policy, again, hold the money, follow the money, because that always works. Follow the money, hold the money, whatever it takes to do it, then do it. And Brandon Scott can just go sit on his damn tack.
Yeah. Nicole, what are your thoughts on this? Where do you fall in this exchange?
I kind of fall in the middle. I get what Jan is saying, because DC really is split up between different types of people. There are people who live in DC, older Black people, middle-aged Black people who own their homes, who grew up in DC, who've made it their place. And then there are people who are, kind of transient. They're not there to own homes or anything. Maybe they're renters, and that's no shade to renters, but this is not necessarily their permanent place. So they have a different view of what's important to them. And that's like in any other community, in the state. If I own a home, of course, I want my home to be safe. I want my property value protected, all the things that come with home ownership. If I'm a renter, it don't really make a difference to me. It really doesn't. As long as I can do the things I need to do without being accosted, and Metro Police have done their level best. Take nothing away from what Metro Police has done, but they're down like 800 officers. Do you know why they're down by 800 officers? Because it must suck to death to have teenagers jump up in your face and talk crazy to you, and you can't do anything because the DC City Council says if they're under 25, let them go. Mm-hmm. The free to kill bill. They kill you, they out by the time they're 25 because we don't want to ruin their lives. I mean, at some point, if you're a law enforcement officer, you have to make a decision. Do I stay in DC, a city I love, where there's a great likelihood I may be harmed or sued for something I did? Or do I go to a rural area that's going to, think of me like a hero, where I have less crime to deal with, especially violent crime? That's a no-brainer, especially if you have if you're a father or mother of a young family. You're going to choose your family and the safer job that pays you more every single day of the week. So DC is already at a disadvantage there. Muriel Bowser, lover or hater, has for a very long time been kind of at odds with her own counsel, saying, listen, there's some things we need to do. There's some things we need to clean up. But they say, no, ma'am, we're not doing that. We have to put our children first. So it is kind of, it depends on which side of the pendulum you fall on. But I hear Shelley, and I feel Shelley on this. This can't be the hill we die on. Let them have their feelings. Let them have their programs. Let's get something that works. Let's get a blueprint of what works so we can replicate it successfully across the country in places where it's needed. But in the meantime, we got other things to do. This can't be the end all be all. And Trump has plenty of staff that can handle these problems. And the people that he's appointed, especially Judge Janine, she's on fire. Her press conference today, she was calling names, and honey, it was fierce. That she ran out of time to answer more than one or two questions because she laid it out. She called the laws that said, this is the reason why children are running amok in this city. But me and my team, and she's down, I think, 19 or 20 attorneys. I mean, they're so understaffed. So ramping up, getting everything where it needs to be is going to help tremendously. But Shelley's right. This can't be the only thing. Let's keep going.
Yeah. Well, folks, sound off in the chat. Where do you fall on this? Do you think it's a waste of time and energy on these people, and you're thinking it's really they're going to continue to vote the way they vote, and really no helping them? Or do you think there are some people there, or a good amount of people that are waking up and changing their minds? Sound off in the chat or super chat so we can read your chat out loud. All right. So speaking of changing minds, or I should say change is coming, folks, Texas Democrats are furious today. The Texas Senate has officially passed the new U.S. House maps, and Democrats stormed out of the chamber. Take a look. This is clip 3.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, I know that there's been a lot of discussion about this bill coming forward today. Everyone has different perspectives on it. I would like to mention, though, patience. There are some things I know we have a lot of people watching online that haven't been.
All right. So that was them so-called storming out in protest, claiming the maps were undemocratic, and they said they were silencing voices. So this walkout was pretty much a political stunt. It was meant to grab headlines, not stop the vote. But the vote went on, and they're on their way to redistricting. So I want to get your thoughts on this, Nicole. I mean, with this redistricting, with this redraw of the maps, after the census, do you think this is actually going to result in some wins in the midterms?
Without question. Not only is it going to result in wins in the midterm, it's going to put more Republicans in those very seats in their Texas Senate and in the Texas House. But the bigger question remains, was this anger inducing enough to get these missing Democrat representatives to get on their broomsticks and fly back to town so they can do their jobs? At least the senators stayed to do their work. They have a leg to stand on with their constituents, but the ones that are hiding in Illinois and New York City and probably some in California, is this enough for you to come back and fight for what you believe in? Or will you stay behind mommy's skirts and cry like little children? I've never seen ever a group of people that act like 2-year-olds storming out of, oh, I don't like what's going on. Storming. You're supposed to stay and fight. Listen, here in Maryland, the Democrats have a supermajority. So even if we did storm out, it wouldn't solve anything. But we don't have any Republicans who would storm out. In fact, Republicans get the microphone and blow the floor up and call them what it is to their faces. When you talk about speaking truth to power, they really need to take a look at some of our legislators, right? LaToya Congala, she stood up and let him have it. Matt Morgan does it every time he touches the mic. You know, when you think about, listen, Kathy Szeliga, they trail her like, you know, she stole something out of CVS. These legislators don't run. They stay and fight for the people who elected them and for what they believe in. I don't know what's going on in Texas. I've never seen Texans run from a fight. So wherever they are, I hope they're comfortable and I hope they stay. I hope the good governor of the great state of Texas gets to pick new people to put in those seats. I got a list of names. I'd be happy to submit to him the people I'd like to see sitting in those seats.
Yeah, Shelly, what are your thoughts on this?
So this is what I've been thinking. Number one, how long can they stay away? That's number one, without, I guess you call it vacating your position. Number two, I want to see not just Governor Abbott and the Senate and the House members that are left. I want to see the people in Texas rise up. I want to see the people in Texas call out these legislatures and let them know they will be voted out of office if they're not already removed, fired, terminated, whatever the case may be. Because why should we keep, well, the people of Texas certainly, but why should they keep paying their salaries and they're not there? See, this, if it was, again, if any of us vacated a job, we just didn't show up, oh, I'm going across the line because I don't like XYZ at your company or at my, it would not be a second thought. In 24 hours or less, the ink would be dry on the paper. You are terminated. I don't know why there is a different standard for legislatures. We pay them. It's not the other way around. I hope and I'm praying that the people of Texas say enough. What's their license plate? Don't mess with Texas. Don't mess with the people of Texas. Let's get the people in Texas to rise up and call out these jackasses who want to vacate their position and still collect at the bank. No, it can't happen. It needs to stop.
Oh yeah. Yana, I mean, what are your thoughts on this whole ordeal? Is this democracy in action or something else?
Well, that's what we had to do. Yes, it is. And it has been done in other states. Democrats have done this before where they redistricted New York, for example, in the same kind of way in the middle of a cycle. And it's funny to see them just walking out like that. And you know what? They can just keep on walking. We've been trying to get Democrats out of Texas since the Civil War. So just keep on walking.
Yeah, absolutely. Folks, as you all come in, please hit that like button. It really helps to get this video out in front of a wider audience, and subscribe. We are on our way to 200,000 subscribers. We need your help to reach that goal by Labor Day. We're counting on you, folks. We are a community of God-fearing, truth-seeking, America-loving people that value freedom. Stand with us and subscribe so we can amplify this rallying call for freedom. All right. So speaking of that, this is something that I know personally I have been waiting for Letitia James and Adam Schiff to get what they deserve. And the legal tables may finally be turning. New York AG Letitia James and California Senator Adam Schiff, two of Trump's loudest political enemies, two of the most corrupt people in politics, are now facing federal scrutiny. Take a look at this. This is clip 4.
Attorney General and the California senator, who both preached so many times that nobody is above the law, as they went after Trump for anything they could possibly manufacture. Now both are being criminally investigated for lying about their permanent residencies, as well as a couple other things. Letitia James has also been hit with multiple subpoenas related to her civil fraud case against President Trump, and the other dealing with Letitia's own probe into the NRA. A very corrupt woman is she. Mike Davis is the founder and president of the Article 3 Project, joins us now. Mike, what do you have to say to that prediction from Michael Cohen, who of course is a man that hates the president?
I would say to Big Tish James and to Adam Shifty Schiff to lawyer up, because nobody's above the law. They have evidence. that these two individuals may have lied on their mortgage applications. Adam Schiff had a condo back in California as his primary residence, and then he claimed his primary residence was in Maryland to get a tax advantage. Big Tish James in New York, under New York statute, has to live in New York, has to reside in New York as the Attorney General. She got a mortgage down in Norfolk, Virginia, and said that that was her primary residence. I don't know how you can have a primary residence in Norfolk, Virginia, when you're required to live in New York under New York statute. She also said in prior mortgage applications that her father was her husband. So she seems to have a pattern of committing mortgage fraud, as the New York Post reported. So I am, as someone who has defended President Trump against this lawfare for 3 years, I am very excited about Ed Martin as the special counsel to hold these two accountable.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, if those two get indicted, if they are actually found guilty, it is Christmas morning for me, because turnabout is fair play and they will be getting exactly what they deserve. Shelley, I know you have been following all of this for quite some time, including Russiagate. What are your thoughts? I mean, is it wrong for me to be so happy that this gluttonous shrew is getting what's coming to her? As she said over and over again, nobody's above the law. No one's above the law.
No, it is not wrong. Maybe I'm wrong for co-signing, but it's not wrong at all. I don't know. No, it is not. But this is it is. It's such, like you said, turnabout. And I don't want it just to be for turnabout's sake. Like, you know what I mean? I want it to be lock, stock, and barrel, list the charges, the evidence, foolproof, if you will. And I know the thrill that you get, KJ. I can understand it just for retribution's sake, but we want more than that. We want it to be just not even, you can't tamper with it, no technicalities. We want it all on the paper. These two, in addition to Fannie Willis, I can't stand Letitia James more than Fannie Willis. Fannie was kind of funny to me. Jack Smith, Letitia James, Adam Schiff, the other people, Fannie Willis, all of these people, again, and this is my summation of
Comey.
Yes, all of these people are playing off of this Russiagate textbook, if you will, the lies, and they're taking all the different tentacles and paths that they can take, and they have taken them, and now the shit is really starting to hit the fan. When Letitia hits the fan, her ass is just going to blow all out. So everybody duck, get some ponchos or whatever, because she got a whole lot of shit that's going to come out. And why are they always dabbling in false residences? You got Marilyn, whatever her name is, Marilyn Mosby. They always got real estate and false residences. These people are, one of the top peoples in their state, but they got to lie about where they're living. It's awful. This 2-tier or maybe even 3-tier justice system needs to come to an end. And I hate saying that about the country that I love, but I can't deny it. In many ways, we do have a 2 where the elites and then the regular people, and maybe we have a 3-tier. Because even with the elites, it's opponent versus opponent, or so-called they manipulate. Let's kill all the lawyers, like Shakespeare said, because 90% of them are lawyers, and certainly they're politicians, and they know how to cook the book, so to speak, better than any regular American could do on his or her taxes. I'm with you, KJ. If we're wrong, we're going to be wrong together. You are not wrong.
Yeah. Nicole, what are your thoughts on this? You're generally the voice of reason, the elegant Southern belle, Southern Maryland belle. Are we being too city nasty, too nasty city girls?
No, you're not. Let me tell you, Big Tish has talked so much trash about Donald Trump, Donald Trump's family, Donald Trump's businesses, Donald Trump's acquaintances. This is karma just coming back to bite her in her big butt. Shifty Schiff, he's getting off kind of easy. Some of the things that he has rumored to have done, going to jail for mortgage fraud is a very small thing compared to some of the things that his name has been allegedly linked to. But for the question that Shelley asked, is it always the mortgage fraud? Why is it always mortgage fraud? Why is it always lying on an application? Well, because generally no one ever looks. Generally, I mean, when you're trying to figure out how someone is lawless, you don't go looking at their mortgage. That's the last place you're going to look. But they started it, and Big Tish, she earned what's coming to her. She really has. Shifty Shift is getting off easy, but Big Tish, this is what you deserve. And no, you guys aren't being mean. She earned every single moment of the coverage that's coming to her.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yana, what are your thoughts here?
They had it coming. Like everybody said, they had it coming. They were after Trump for so long, and with all these trumped up charges, and they thought that they were invincible. Mm-hmm. And with the mortgage fraud, wasn't there one in Mosby in Baltimore got caught? Marilyn Mosby was, they should all be, in the same cell together. And really, corruption needs to be stopped. This is just corruption. It's simple as that. And, if this was Russia, these people would be under the jail for years, especially after their behavior, the way that they behaved before.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, folks, my hope is that Letitia James, particularly her, and Adam Schiff, but Letitia James, I want to see her behind bars in a hairnet and being interviewed by the women of The View as she cries and humiliates and embarrasses herself, begging for someone to pardon her. That is what I want to see. So from a jailhouse interview, I want to see her in a blue jumpsuit or orange jumpsuit, sweating with a hairnet on, and talking to what's her name from The View, Whoopi Goldberg, and what's the other one, Sunny Holston. Yes, as they seethe that she is behind bars and she was placed there by the Trump DOJ.
Yeah,
that's what I want to see. But we will see. What to watch next is whether charges will be brought, or if these are primarily fact-finding investigations. Also, the potential fallout in the 2026 midterm elections if top Democrats are indicted. How will people look at this? Will they say, as more and more of the information comes out behind these indictments, will they finally realize that these people are frauds and liars and thieves? And then how these probes affect Trump's broader push to reform the DOJ and federal law enforcement. These are all things to watch for next. And we will be watching. All right. So, folks, that does it for us tonight. This was we tried to be quick, a quick pop-in for you guys. We had to respond to all of the breaking news out today. All right, so this is our pop-in politics pop-in. Folks, please share this in a DM, share this on your social media timeline, and definitely hit that like button. It helps to get this out in front of a wider audience. We appreciate every super chat. We really do. It helps to keep us online. We do this, folks, really just as a sort of, we love this country. We want to get the truth out. Not a lot of people who look like us and talk like us are conservative. And so we want to give you guys that perspective from us. So we definitely appreciate your super chats. And again, they go a long way in keeping us online. We'll be back tomorrow. So we'll be back tomorrow at 8 p.m. So 1 hour earlier, right here on Poppin' Politics. So please be sure to look out for that notification when we go live. Final thoughts, ladies. I'll start out with you, Nicole. Final thoughts until tomorrow, I guess.
Just a heads up. A250 is coming up next year, America's 250th anniversary. And I had a chance to sit in on a White House meeting about all of the events that are going to happen next year. And some of the wonderful things that are coming, they're putting out workbooks and checklists that teachers can use in the classroom, not to celebrate any particular thing about American history, but to celebrate America. Our founding documents, for the very first time, the entirety of the Constitution will be on display in one room. The very first time in American history that's going to happen. There are going to be parties all over the country, parades all over the country, kind of like a miniaturized World's Fair, if you will, in Washington, D.C. So I'll keep you guys up on all the latest and the greatest things that are coming, road trips across America. I'm hoping that Pop and Politics can jump in on that. That would be a bunch of fun, take the show on the road. But so many wonderful things are coming to celebrate our country's birthday. You guys stay tuned. It is going to be amazing.
All right. All right. Yana, final thoughts for the audience.
Well, final thoughts for the audience. I just wanted to say we appreciate all of the audience, everyone who is watching us. Even if you disagree with some of the things we say and you want to check things that we say, that's fine. We're here for truth, for freedom of speech. And I appreciate everyone. We do appreciate everyone who's watching. This is what's important. You know, we are real people. We are not paid by any big corporation or anything like that. We're really grassroots. It's like talking to your neighbors. So it's really important to just stay connected regardless of whether you agree or disagree. We're all Americans.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Shelly, final thoughts for our neighbors, our friends, our community.
That's right, everybody. We are so excited. We always want to say thank you all to our moderators, all of our people in the chat. We always want to say thank you. And remember, I think KJ mentioned it earlier, but we have a new merchandise store on YouTube. So go there, buy your shirts, your caps, and don't forget, snap a picture because we've done it before, right? When someone has snapped a picture in the gear, we post it and we shout you out and say thank you. So go do that. Keep doing that. It's a new store. You're going to love the items there. They are really cool. And we got more coming. So I just want to say thank you. And don't forget, like KJ said, we are here tomorrow. Tomorrow's Wednesday, right?
Right, Wednesday.
Right. So tomorrow's Wednesday. So we'll be on at 8 p.m. Eastern time.
All right. Yep. Well, that does it again for us tonight. All right, folks. Again, please share, and like this broadcast. We will see you tomorrow. Until next time, count your blessings and live a life of
purpose.
Purpose.
Purpose.